to Pops and Hisses, a music podcast where you hear from the artists you love. I'm your host, Kevin Coffey, and in this episode, I sat down with Emily Armstrong from rock band Dead Sara. The LA-based band has been one of my favorites for the last few years, and their last release, a 6-song EP, came out on Atlantic in 2018. They sat down to do their latest recording project right about the time the pandemic shut down touring for most bands, so they haven't played a show in quite some time and have spent the last while working on new music, which Emily said has worked out very well for the band. They've been holed up in LA with longtime producer Noah Shane, and they've got a lot of new music on the way, including a new single, Hands Up, which you can listen to at popsandhisses.com. They have lots more on the way, and I was happy to talk to Emily about all of it. Real quick, I want to remind you that you can listen to Pops and Hisses, the podcast, and find music news, reviews, and interviews at popsandhisses.com. But right now, it's time for Emily from Dead Sara. Let's get into it. How are you spending your time right now?
Sorry, somebody's calling me. Okay.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, I see. Okay. Right now, like in the pandemic wise,
Yeah.
or like it's just, we're just recording, and anything that we could possibly do to just keep rolling, like we've had that single that just came out, and that's just kind of a taste of what's to come, and it's kind of fun because we've never done that before. We've never put out a single before the album was done, and there's something really exciting about that. I feel like that's how they used to do it,
Right.
and then it just became a thing where you have to have it all done and you're ready to go, and it's a whole like setup for it. And well, now with the pandemic and stuff, it's kind of like we don't know what's gonna fucking happen, so you might as well,
Yeah.
do what we feel, and it's fun.
Well, yeah, we have the album done, and now we have to wait 6 months for the release window to open up, and then by that time
exactly
done.
Yeah, and it's so fun because we just started writing these like 3 songs that we're going to start pre-proing on, so doing them like in batches, but they wouldn't have been considered to be on the album if we had already finished the album. And we think that these are even stronger. It's so nice to be able to do it in like the now,
Right.
and just kind of see where things are happening and just kind of group together the album, and I love it. So that's basically what we're doing. Yeah.
Was that the intention all along, or was that just been because of how things are happening this year, maybe a little more time on your hands than you thought you were going to have?
Yeah, essentially. I know that we were going to go into the studio regardless of what, of COVID. We were already kind of working towards, but we didn't have the whole album done then as well. Like we had 4 songs for sure that we were like, these are great. These could be singles. Let's go in, let's start doing that. And so we're done with those 4, and Hands Up is one of them. So I don't know. It's funny. It's a good question, really.
Well, it's always, for some bands, it's been that I've talked to, it's totally upended plans. Like, we had this big tour to do, and we were going to put out an album, and so like put everything on hold. And then for other bands, it sounds like with you guys, that's just kind of been, it's kind of worked out okay.
Yeah.
You're going to do this anyway, so yeah.
Exactly. And I'm just like, I feel like we got lucky in a weird way, because I know a lot of bands that had to cancel a lot of shit, and they just came out with an album, and I'm like, oh man, like
you're just dead in the water, right?
Oh, it's the worst, man. I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's like, where do you pick up after that? Like, do you just write a new album and just say fuck it,
Right.
Or like, because it's out, and then in a year's time it's going to be kind of old, I guess.
And then you also have summer tours that got kicked to fall, that now got kicked to spring, and now, for what I'm hearing from booking agents and stuff, they're like, well, we're not so sure about spring either. Maybe fall of 2021. Hell, maybe 2022. And it's just, oh my God. Like,
I know.
I can't imagine.
Well, now that, we have vaccines, I think it's going to calm, and people get to finally see a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel here. you know, and that's what's great. And that's what we're kind of looking at, almost like, cool, we want an album done. We definitely want it done before the summer, the album, and that's what we're working towards. And I think that we could definitely accomplish that with all the time that we have. And I think, you know, what people are saying is that it's going to go back down into like full close down again. So shut down.
Might as well be at home or in a studio.
Exactly. So, you know, that's what we'll be doing regardless.
Yeah. Well, that's
lockdown
good.
or not. Yeah.
When was the last show you played? It was, or you guys played early this year, right?
We did. We played, it's weird. We were on tour this year, you know, with Bad Flower. And we played the rock cruise. What was it called? Oh my God, I'm blanking. We played a cruise ship. Oh wow, what is it called? Wow, I can't remember what it is. But we were on tour with Bad Flower, and then we just kind of, at the end of it, we both went on this cruise to do it. And we were home, and then this whole thing about this pandemic thing, and then it was like, oh my God, and shut down and everything. But then even during the whole lockdown, we did like an online show, you know. Yeah. So that was fun. Then we did another online show. It's not the same, but you know, it could keep us busy. You know, keep us somewhat engaged.
Well, like you said, with releasing the single, and getting people excited about it, does that give you feedback for, okay, people are excited, or get you know, a little more energy for the band to be able to, okay, let's keep going on this because we're doing the right thing?
Absolutely, the morale is there. You know, putting something out. It's obviously for us, but at the same time, it's not for us. It's for fans. You know. So to have that acknowledgement, and it fulfills, you know, and it burns that desire again to, even though we already have that, and we love doing what we're doing, and working really hard, but it does give us that acknowledgement, like, cool, we're doing something, we're on the path here.
Mm-hmm. That's
you
good.
Yeah.
So you touched on it a little bit, but where are you on the album? How much you guys have done?
Well, we have 4 completely finished.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and right now we're working on 3. We start with Noah again very shortly. I think we just had like a FaceTime with him, and we discussed a few songs, and we're about to start again.
Awesome.
So the next batch is being brewed.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Hands Up a little bit. So could you tell me about writing it? There's a lot of, to put it lightly, anger and frustration in the lyrics there. So I was curious about the genesis of that song.
Of course. Yeah. Well, it's, if you've ever been gaslit before, really, you know, with somebody that you kind of gave and entrusted your life to, you know. And I had a couple people in my life at the time that were kind of doing that, with like an ex, and with somebody who was kind of helping manage our life. And it was probably some of the worst time I've ever been through mentally.
Right.
And in order to come out of it, you start realizing what it is. And it's not just you that's going crazy, but there's things that are getting you to that point where you're just like, I don't understand who I am anymore. I don't understand what the fuck is going on. And you feel like you can't blame other people. But when you start to really see it, and you have help kind of coming out of it, finding those things in those people, it gives you stability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being like, oh no, wait a minute, holy fuck. Like, I thought you were on my side this whole time, but this is what you like. You start to come out of it, and you know, I think you become a stronger person. And when our friend Ryan, who's playing bass for us right now, he came in with that riff, and we just kind of started writing to it right away. And it was just literally, we sat in the studio, and we just like, you know, I don't think Susie even showed up at that point, and that's how fast it was going.
Wow.
And then soon after, I was just like, I know what the song's about. Like, it was like, it just spewed. everything about it just spewed, you know. And then obviously Susie came in, and then just kind of we like constructed the chorus and everything. We got to the place. It was done in like the concept was done in about a day, and then
Wow.
you know, recording it was like the song was done in like 2 days, and then obviously with pre-pro it took a little bit longer to like really find, is that the right fill, is that the right moment to do this
Yeah.
guitar. Obviously we do with Noah, but it was the quickest one. And the lyrics, I was just like, this, I just already knew, like as it was coming out, and I looked at it and I was like, this is what this is about. It's like a reflection of what I just kind of gone through. And it was nice. It was kind of like, wow, like this is my way of having some kind of therapy, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so that's that frustration. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that chorus line of just the throwing your hands up moment is
Yeah.
just so identifiable. Did it feel, knowing what you'd gone through and stuff, did it feel cathartic, especially in those, you know, couple days of making and recording the song, to like get all that stuff out?
Oh gosh, yeah. Absolutely. And that's why I think it's just waiting to come out, whether I knew it or not, you know.
Right.
Like it just was, you know. And that helps me realize, like, that's another kind of like stability, kind of like I'm in the right direction, because I'm able to basically identify what it is, you know, and why I was feeling that anger, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um so that in itself, being like not even realizing what you're saying, you know, because that's how I like to write a lot. I was just in there and just blah 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 blah, and then I look back at it and I go, holy fuck. So that is super cathartic, and
Yeah.
it's like that's like the most, and that I'm like, this is why I do this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also thought you have such power in your voice all the time, but this song in particular, you really hit it in a few moments in that song. Was that kind of the same thing, or like you just really feeling these lyrics when you're recording them?
absolutely, absolutely. And you know, there is a fine line where like I would love to be able to just say lyrics in a way where like you could just whisper them and you'll still feel the weight of it.
Right.
That's like I that's what I strive to be. Um and there's so many songwriters that do that, where it's like you just read it and you're like, holy fuck, that hit me, you know, that hit me so hard. That's where I strive to be. Um and I think learning my craft over the years, I would scream because I didn't know exactly what to say. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, I really want you to feel what I'm fucking feeling, and I can't explain exactly how I'm fucking feeling it. Rawr! But I think Hands Up has both. You know, and I think that's why
Mhm.
it could hit you more, because the lyrics are on point, and they could still get you if you read it. You know,
Right.
and that's that fun like songwriting ability that you just have to work hard, you know, like sit and like really figure out, and like, is this gonna fucking hit? Is this shit gonna slap, as they say?
Yeah.
And it does.
Yeah. I always like when the times your band has done, you know, those quieter in studio shows, because you tend to, everyone else is a little quieter and you get a little quieter, but those lyrics you guys have just hit just as hard, which I think is really cool. So
Yeah,
I think you're successful in your goals.
good. I only strive to get better.
Yeah. So the song I was reading, and it said the song was co-produced by Sean. So was that,
Yeah.
what role did he take when making the song?
Well, he's kind of doing it for the whole album,
Oh,
but
is he? Okay. That what I didn't know.
yeah. No, it's again, it's a blessing with you know, if I could say it's a blessing out of these tough times. Um, it kind of, we didn't, again, we were supposed to go into the studio right at the top of the year, and then, you know, shit, hell fucking broke loose.
Right.
Everybody's got to be at home, and we were just kind of like, fuck, what are we gonna do, you know? And we were already doing demos with Sean before Noah. So we were getting it to a place where we're just like, this is what we want it to sound like. So we were taking the extra step of really showing Warner, showing Noah that this is our next, you know, move.
Mm-hmm.
So to make it into something more conceptual, Noah was like, I want this to still, like, you guys are onto something. you know, and even Warner was like, you guys are onto something, what you guys want, you know? So that's why Sean is still in that role, because we're just on it, you know, like it would be stupid to have him not be there. And then obviously with the pandemic, Noah's not in the room, you know, he is now, it's like a FaceTime thing. Or at least these past 4 songs, including Hands Up. When we were recording it, Sean is also the engineer, pretty much, you know, with Noah's help of being like, you should get this gear, you should get this one, this microphone would be great for the kick, and you know, so he's kind of learning as well. So it's kind of something very organic, and I think it's going to really show a different side, or the side that should have been a little bit more involved in our sound, and if that makes any sense. It's going to sound like we're recording it in our rehearsal room again too, like that's you know, we've never done that before, so there is going to be an aspect where it sounds very live and raw, and that's what we love.
And probably comfortable for you too to do it with Sean, to do it in your rehearsal space, and I think that adds
exactly.
Bands that I've heard do that before, it adds a sort of that raw quality, because you're just in your element and you don't feel like, oh, we're in a studio, we can't like,
and we have a time limit, and
you're like, you don't want to mess anything up, like you got to do it just right, like you don't feel like you have to just in your living room, you're fine.
And they're like, oh, the Beastie Boys recorded here, Led Zeppelin, and you're like, fuck, dude.
Oh, no,
like
pressure.
no pressure, and it's just like, oh, I don't need that in my fucking headspace, you know.
Right.
So, and it's great because Sean and I get to work one-on-one a lot with melody, and like pushing the envelope lyrically, you know, like it doesn't hit, like let's take a day, come back at it tomorrow, or just push it until like I'm literally on the floor, you know. Oops, low power. So it's great. A lot more involved.
Yeah.
A lot more hard work.
It's cool too to have Noah there, because you guys have just worked with him for a really long time, so I'm sure there's that comfort and familiarity there too, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we send him everything that we do, and then he works on it on his end, you know. It's great. You know, we send him shit and he tells us what to do and stuff like that. And with the next group, a batch that we're about to go into, we're all going to get tested and everything, and then have a couple days pre-pro live in a room, and then from there we'll start recording. And then we'll send him everything like that. So there's still that.
Yeah, right. Well, you mentioned the practice space. I really liked the video, which was really fun, and it looked like you guys were maybe playing in your rehearsal space, but I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, we definitely were. Yeah. It was all born.
Yeah. And then just the rest of the video, you guys jumping in the truck and stuff, that looked like a lot of fun. I thought it worked well.
That was so much fun. It was right in our neighborhood, Highland Park. We jumped in and all the neighbors were cheering us on and stuff. It was really fun. Really fun.
And people who live across the street are being crazy right now.
What was that? Oh yeah. They basically were, yeah. But they loved it.
That's cool. So I'm sure this is a ways off. It was a ways off anyway, because you guys were going to be making the record, but are you excited to play some shows again? I'm sure you're enjoying some quiet time at home, but for me, not being a person in a band, I'm just a guy who goes to a lot of shows. It's weird to me to not be out and not like hearing live music. A friend of mine described it as he realized he hadn't heard, that the thrum of the kick drum in his chest.
Yeah.
In like a really long time. So I just wondered, are you and the band in general, are you excited to play shows? Are you enjoying some time not doing it?
I mean, always want to play live. We always. That's like our that's what we do, that we're a live band. But there is something very cathartic right now in this process, where we don't even have to think about live, Right. And when we've done these online shows, it's almost like, oh, we get to play. Oh no, it's not really a show. So, and then we're working really hard because it's like a different brain. Yeah. It's like you're in the studio, and then it's like, let's now be a live band. And it's just like, that part I don't want to do right now until the record's done. Like switch that on and then have it switch it back off. It's a lot. So I would say yes and no right now. Like I'm not ready to switch to the live, because when it switches, like that's all I want to do. It's like, this is what we're doing. We're getting a whole fucking set list or a few set lists, or getting all of our songs ready to just go on tour for a year and a half. Like, that's what I want to think of. Not just one show. Like, I want to be fucking...
turning that on in your brain and then doing one show has got to be just a wasted mental energy.
100%, you know, but it pays bills too, you know.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It just sucks that there's no crowd there, you know. That's why I say it pays the bills, because it's like there's no real, people are watching online, which is fucking awesome, but
when I watched last week, the band basically did it in their studio, and so they had an engineer in the control room, obviously, and then he was their voice of the crowd, so to speak. He was kind of monitoring like a live chat, and it was neat, I'm sure, for the band, but also it was just this guy going, well, everyone's really excited. And that's all the feedback you can get. So
I don't know, it's like watching live sports where it's just like, the fake crowd noise. It helps them for sure. It's a little like, oh god, like I don't know, it's weird. It's all fucking weird. 2020 is weird.
It is very weird. I'm happy that it's working out for you guys in the sense that it's kind of conducive to making a new record. It's so bizarre.
We had to just for our mental health. We had to get something good out of it,
Yeah, I hear you. One thing I wondered was, and this is in general, I love hearing you sing. You have such power in your voice, and I always wonder what you have to do to take care of your voice, or if you have to do much to take care of your voice. If I sang like you, I wouldn't be able to talk anymore.
I know.
But is that something you think about with live shows? Because we were playing night after night, you kind of have your voice in that condition, but I didn't know if that has any effect on you now, not doing as much.
Well, definitely it's a muscle. So if you're not using it as much, it's just going to get a little bit weaker. And then you have to do your warm-ups, do your little exercises just to get it back up. It's the same kind of rule, but it is a very, very small muscle, and to get intricate about it. And you use a lot of muscles around your muscles to sing, it's not just this, it's your diaphragm, it's your body. So you have to take care of your body, as you can see, like sometimes when singers are just beat, hung over all the time, fucked up, they don't sound good, most of them, because it's your body, So when before hitting, going on tour, again, that's a whole different beast than playing and rehearsing in your room, because you have the comfort of that. So when we get rolling on tour, I'm very diligent about the warm-ups and cool downs and my teas, and just being really just like your normal things. But then after a bit, you just kind of, you're in the swing of things, and then you don't have to be so, but for me, I don't have to be so on it. It's just kind of like, okay, this night, like my body is just, we're in it, and I'm good, Sometimes I don't even warm up before I go up on stage, because I basically am all warmed up. Like my body and my mind and everything is just tour. Like that's where you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Another thing I want to ask about, because you guys are on Warner's, and you put out the EP a couple years ago with Atlantic, but the 2 albums before that you guys did on your own. So kind of wondering what it was like now you're on Warner's. Does it take a little pressure off of you guys to be able to not have to do every damn thing? Or what's that been like for the band?
Well, the first time we did it, it was just kind of like, we kind of just rolled with the punches. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know. It was like, we took it as it came, and like, oh, we have to hire radio people. Okay, let's do that. Like, not even realizing like, oh, we have our own label, basically. Like we're literally running our own label. It wasn't like we were like, we're going to set up this and this is how it's going to be. And we have all these different departments. And so we were just kind of rolling with it. And then we realized like, wow, we don't have to do all this, this is a lot to deal with.
Right.
But I'm really happy that we did, because then we learned how an organization or the music industry does work. Mm-hmm. So at the same time, it was a lot more work, but now we can just steer that hard work into what we do as musicians and stuff like that. But you can never really let up on other things and be like, oh, they're going to take care of it. That's just, you can't do that. You have to be on top of it. You have to get your management to stay on top of it with them and stuff like that. It never, you should never let your guard down on it, you know?
And then your label appreciates all the hard work you're putting into everything anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so there's definitely that trust of just being like, they understand us, we understand them. This is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. And then once that synchronicity is in and it's locked in, it just feels really good, you know, and getting to really feel that with the first single was really nice. And I'm like, great, this is force to be reckoned with, when, our album is done.
Yeah. Well, it seems like everything's going well and they're really excited about it. So
yeah. Yeah, it's really, really nice. So awesome. I'm really happy about that.
Well, Emily, that's most of the stuff I wanted to ask about. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about or mention?
Oh, no.
Cool.
I had a lovely time chatting.
Yeah. Thanks so much for doing it for me. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the new music whenever we get to see it or hear it, I guess.
Fuck yeah.
Thanks for listening to Pops and Hisses. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app or head to popsandhisses.com, where you can listen to the podcast and find more music news, reviews, interviews, and what else? More podcast episodes. I'm your host, Kevin Coffey, and you can follow me on Twitter as @OmahaMusicGuy, or find my page on Facebook by searching for Kevin Coffey. My last name is spelled Coffey, by the way. Thanks to Herdat Media for producing the show, and I encourage you to check out Herdat's network of podcasts such as my friends Pat and JT, who tell great and funny stories, or Meathead Test Kitchen, where they talk about food and fitness. Find them all at herdatmedia.com/network. That's HURRDAT media.com/network. Thanks for listening. See you next time.